All right. Excellent. We are up and running. So, tonight we're going to talk about being an entrepreneur, being kind of a small business owner, what steps you can take to grow your business, talk about investment, talk about outsourcing a little bit. And so I want to give you some lessons for that we've learned that I think are super important to grow your business and to really thrive and move forward every single day. So a lot of this comes down to what Beachbody kind of preaches, but I wanted to give you a little bit of perspective from our years of being photographers and starting a photo booth business and doing a lot of marketing for that, to kind of give you an idea of kind of our mindset in this. And I feel like it's why we've been successful and why other people are successful is they see it as a business and they treat it like a business. And so it pays like a business, but that's easy to say, but then like, what are the details of that you need to learn? So the first thing is that being an entrepreneur, you all probably know this, that 50% of small businesses fail in the first year and 90% are out of business by year 3. So it takes a lot of determination. It takes a lot of skill. But mostly it just takes a lot of guts and learning along the way. So, and I don't think that any of those things are any different than what applies to this. And the teams that do well long term are the ones that think long term and invest long term. And so I believe that thinking that way from the beginning is really, really crucial. So there's some things that I think that really successful entrepreneurs do that I wanted to share with you that I was thinking of. Problem solving, turning a negative into a positive. So many times we have things that go wrong and we freak out. We're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? This person's shipment didn't get there, or this didn't work. I don't know how to do this setting. Like, I just want to quit. You know, it's like, I just want to stop doing whatever I'm doing and not deal with the situation. But the fact is that if you can try to turn every negative into a positive, then you will start to really own your business in this sense. Nothing can slow you down. So either you're moving forward or something's happening and you're going to still move forward. And so it's that mindset that it doesn't matter what happens, we're going to move forward. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to make the person happy. So say there's a bad shipment, or it's not there or whatever, you can say, I'm going to call Beachbody and see what I can do to help this along. So you call and you provide great service for them. You ask them to add something else. They do or they don't. If they don't, then you try to see what you can do to take care of it. Turn the negative into the positive. Give them an experience. Show them that you're in control and that you are going to do everything you can. That's the difference. And then it's just another chance to prove why you shouldn't buy it off Amazon. That you're going to provide them value. And this is just the first of 100 steps where you're going to provide them value. So that's kind of the first thing. I'll give you kind of an example that really cemented this in my mind. There is a basketball radio talk show host in Kentucky, and it's not just basketball; it's UK sports. And I haven't listened to it in quite some time. I really try to be focused on the business. But there was one time where one of the number one draft pick was supposed to come in there and into the studio and do part of the show. But they were also doing a reality TV show around his week or whatever. And so they got there and the show ends at 11. I think, what is it? 9 to 11, whatever. It's 2 hours. He gets there the last like 3 minutes. So basically they can't do it. So the host just says, you know what? We're going to do our first Periscope. So they Periscoped the last part and they had like 700 people get on the Periscope. And this was like in March, April, when nobody was on Periscope. And all these people had basically downloaded it and figured it out in like a couple minutes. And so he figured out a way to turn a negative into a positive. And that show is successful, not because he's a good radio talk show host, but because he's a really good entrepreneur. And so there's always a way that you can do something new and different, and you can reinvent yourself, or you can turn a negative into a positive. And that is one of the things, that mindset is what is so crucial in you being successful. So every time something happens negative, just think like, how can I turn this into a positive? How can I make this experience great for this person? Or how can I become better in this moment? What can I learn from this? That is super important. So the other thing an entrepreneur does is they're open to new ideas. They're open to shorter ways to get to their goals. Not shortcuts, but realizing that maybe there's a new path, a new way, a new destination that they hadn't conceived of before. Be open to that. You reflect. Learning. Learning is super important. We talk about that all the time with personal development. But I want to go into that in a little bit in a second about kind of the learning and investing part. So the other point is investing, and I'll delve into that in a second. And then also improvement. And so there's really those three things go together. The learning and the investing and the improvement are really kind of like three strands to a rope. And that's what's going to make you really strong and really successful, is the learning, constantly learning, and investing in your business, and improvement, and kind of making those evaluations. So I want each one of you to, this is like an interactive activity. So I want each one of you to think of, and I'll go first, of something that you're really good at, a skill that you're really good at. And I want you to think how you got there. So for me, I'm really good at speaking Spanish. I got there by starting when I was 13, and I took it every single semester in middle school and high school and college until I graduated at 22. I took classes in Guatemala, and I lived in Bolivia for a year. So there was an investment of time, 9 years, or really 10 or 11 years at least of learning every day. There was investment of money. My parents paid for me to go to college, and my parents paid for me to go to Guatemala that one summer, and then I raised funds to go to Bolivia. There was an investment of energy. In Guatemala, I said, I'm going to learn 50 new words a day, and I just wrote them down. We'd read the newspaper, and I just write them down. What is this? What is this? What is this? All day. My teacher was on me all the time about how to pronounce and how to get my mouth in the right place, and I would leave, and my mouth would be so sore from it's different muscles. It's different pronunciation. So my mouth would be sore because it's not muscles I use in English. And so there was a commitment of time, effort, energy, and money. And that's what made me good at that skill. Now I had to like it. You have to like it. So you have to like what you're doing, or you're going to kind of sabotage yourself, or eventually you're just going to be burned out. But who wants to go next? So the question is, think about something you're really good at, basically a skill, not just necessarily a talent, but something that you would perceive more as a skill. And how did you get there?
I'll go.
Okay.
So I'm good at document design. It's part of my major, so like technical communication is one of my majors, and I've taken a lot of classes that are specifically geared towards document design. And so it's, paying for tuition and going to class and working hard on assignments and getting experience and, learning better ways, editing, and just understanding, what things are going to work, how to transfer information in ways that's going to be easy to understand and manageable for people to actually use. And So the same kind of thing. It's just the energy and paying for tuition and the time that I've been in college. So
Cool. Thanks, Krista. Who wants to go next? Bonnie, you're unmuted, so I think you're next.
All right, I'll go. I'm good at advocating for people and encouraging people and listening to people. And I think that's why I ended up in the career that I did. And it was the third career I tried as an adult. I was a teacher, and then I worked in publishing, and now I'm a school counselor. And it really enabled me to use those skills or the areas of strength that I feel like I have. A lot of those I feel like I sort of intrinsic, they're kind of innate. Like obviously you take, I went to graduate school and I took all these counseling theory classes and I participated in these workshops and I read these great books. But I think that you kind of it has to be in you, just being naturally an empathic, caring, person who wants to listen and encourage others. Like having that desire to kind of advocate for people who maybe don't have a voice. So yeah, it was definitely for me to get to my current position, to be able to use that to earn an income like I'm doing now. I had to go back to grad school for the second time. And, my first graduate degree kind of was a waste. And so that was kind of a risk to go and be like, all right, this one will pay off, I promise. Tell myself that. And then it's more, just building, investing, I think more so in relationships, and building trust. So much of it is trust. You can't really effectively advocate for somebody if they don't first trust you. And you can't help them come up with solutions to their whatever the issue is until they first trust you. And so I think showing them this sort of unconditional positive regard coming from a place of that, no matter how difficult the person or situation is in front of you, and coming from a place of having open ears and an open heart, and kind of getting rid of your own preconceived notions, and really opening yourself to hearing what the other person's needs are and what their story is and where they're coming from and what works for them and what doesn't, I think is huge. So I would say that's definitely where I feel like I am strongest. And it definitely translates in this business, like, no doubt.
That's great. Thanks, Bonnie.
Mm-hmm.
Rhonda or Lori, do you want to go?
I'm sorry, guys. I just got home, so my kids are like, I'm hungry, I'm cold. Here. Okay. So we were talking about a skill we have.
A skill that you're good at. How did you get there?
Mama, I'm an awesome mom. No. Okay.
How did you get to be really good at something?
Stop it. Okay, so let me see. There are some gifts that I think I have them, as Bonnie would say, that they're in you, regardless of what you try to do, it just pops up. So one of them would be organization, and see things where to go. Like even in a house, I would go and I would see a furniture in the wrong spot, and I was like, oh, that really doesn't go well. So it just can see in space, but I'm not good in with a map. Like I would get lost everywhere. But if you put me in a home, I'm very good to see things. And the gift of God that I have, it's encouraging and lifting up. And that one actually needed to be trained. I have to train myself to do that. I have to exercise. I have to be aware of the situations. And parenting, the way I have changed my legacy, and I'm actually continuing to change it, is by reading. If I don't equip myself and get rid of the tools that I have been blessed with, and I don't put the ones that God wants me to raise his kids, I'll just follow suit the same way. So that's one thing. I've been reading, I don't know, probably 20 books on parenting and going to courses and taking online courses, and still there's not one book for this one. No course, no book, no nothing. Just my knees. God help me. I have no idea what to do.
You're preaching to the choir on that one. You have to figure out any of them, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
That's good, Lori. What about you, Rhonda?
I would say for me it's cooking, and it's kind of just been self-taught. I really probably should be in culinary school because I like it more than probably anything. But my dad was unable to use his arms, so growing up I always cooked, and so from a young age I was like his arms, and he would tell me what to do. And then I grew up and realized that I didn't like everything that he made me make, and so I started doing my own thing. And I've just loved to cook, and I've just like took cooking classes, just like the dinner ones where you go out on a date and take a class and eat what you make. And then I probably watch more Food Network than the average person. I should probably be doing more Beachbody than Food Network, but just self-taught, but a lot of time and a lot of meals where you're like, choke it down because you paid for it and you've been in the kitchen for an hour and a half and eat it. But yeah, mine would be cooking.
Cool. That's great. Well, I mean, I think that there's a common theme in all that is that we got better. We spent time, spent money, we spent effort and energy, and it's a lot of that to get better. And that's what happened. It was something we had to be passionate about. I think that that's important. You can still be successful and not be that passionate about it, but it takes a lot more energy and effort, and you'll run out of steam, I think. But I wanted to kind of talk about the concept of you have to learn how to make $100, and then you have to learn how to make $1,000. You have to learn how to make $10,000, and then you have to learn how to make $100,000 or $1 million. Like, it's a progression. And so kind of one of the things you do too is you invest a smaller amount to make a larger amount. And this all is like very obvious, but I don't think people necessarily correlate it. So for example, if you have not made very much money with Beachbody or with anything, and you are trying to make $100, let's say you're trying to make $100 this week or $100 this month, then you need to think about, how can I spend $5 or $10 to make that happen? How can I spend an hour or 2 hours to make that happen? And so little things you can do, obviously, are to get sample packs of Shakeology and sample packs of the Performance line. And I know they're coming out with the sample packs of the Energize. And those all seem obvious. This is what I want to key in on, though, is that you don't just hand them out to anybody. You have to develop the skill of discernment, and you have to develop the skill of knowing how to invest your money. And it starts with the little tiny things. So knowing that this person is just getting a free thing versus knowing this person is like seriously interested. And in the grand scheme of things, $5 doesn't matter. What matters is you develop this skill of being able to ask enough questions and figure out their motives. Okay, does that make sense? You want to really get better at those kinds of skills, and so it's important that you practice that, even with the $5 and $10 thing. What is going to how's this conversation going to play out? And the more conversations you have, the better you get at it. Okay. It doesn't matter really if you waste the $5. The point is that you're getting better. But in order to get better, you have to invest. You have to actually have the packet, to have the conversation, etc. So that's kind of the first step. And a lot of people, I don't think, even get to that first step. But if you're not willing to invest a little bit and just start the conversations, then you're not going to get to Success Club 10. You're not going to get to free ticket to Summit. You're not going to get to Diamond. You have to take those first steps, and you have to get out of your comfort zone. So that would be a real simple.
Can I say something to testify to that?
Sure, Lauren.
Okay. You're done. Okay. So thank you, Sophia. So today I spoke with two prospects that I've been talking to them since December. I'll be right there, baby. Okay. And because in both of them, they only wanted Shakeology. They did not want to go into the workout routine. They say, "Oh, I already walk. I already do that." And because I listened to you guys a lot, like first impression was, "Oh no, well, how do I solve this problem? I don't want to push them, but how do I make them realize that they only pay $10 extra to get the whole thing? Instead of $130, it's $140 plus tax and all that." But 3 months ago, I would not have known this if I would not have read and listened and read and listened and actually talked to myself to just practice picking those words. And it was so easy, and I was convinced. The more I read, the more convinced I was that I'm not forcing them to do anything. I'm actually making them a favor, And I told her, I said, "Listen, I have a custom that all my clients get a gift card from me for either $10 or $5. I said, I'll give you the $10 just to save you and bless you and thank you." And she said, "I don't need you to give me $10. I'll buy the thing. You convinced me." But I still want to go and send her an Amazon gift card or something.
Right.
But she said, "You sold me." I said, "I don't want to say that. I didn't sell you, but you're saving money by that." And so, but I would have never had this confidence if I would not have read.
Right. It's so important. And that knowledge is important because you know how to go into the conversation. So to that point, another thing I wrote down here is buying them a fixate cookbook. Basically, you can say, "Look, I'm asking you to make an investment in your health, and I'm going to make an investment in your health. I'm going to be here. This is step one. And there's going to be a lot of steps. And I've been there, and I know, and I'm doing it now, and we're living it out. And I can get you from point A to point B." There's serious power in having been there and having been a person that you didn't want to be and making that change. There's a ton of power there, and they can sense it. And that's why I think Beachbody is so different, is it's such a holistic approach that you're mentally becoming stronger, you're physically becoming stronger, you're eating better, your mood changes, you have a financial opportunity that you didn't have before, and all of those things.
Your marriage changes.
What?
Can save marriages.
Yes. I mean, really, Ashley and I are way better place than we were before. And that has to do with believing that there's a better possibility, I think. And when you change your body, you realize, like, oh my gosh, like, I can do this. And it's actually not as much work as I thought. It's not as much time as I thought. So I think that's a big part of it. And tonight, when I was just like dying, and I went to the gym, which is like the 6th time I've been to the gym in a year and a half. I went to the gym to do my workout because Bella had a basketball practice, and it just made sense with my schedule to do it that way. And I was freaking dying on day 3 of Hammer and Chisel. And it just reminded me, like, this is why we push. And this is why it works, because I'm sitting here doing this workout knowing I am giving everything I got. And then tonight on this call, I'm going to give everything I got. And then I'm going to go through, I have a list of people I got to go through, everything I got. So it trains your mind and your body to say, I can push, I can do it. I've done this before and I will do it again. And I'm going to fail every single day. That's how I'm going to succeed, by failing every single day and learning from it. So anyway, that point, to always put it back on them, talk about kind of why they would do it, and say, you need to make an investment in your health, and you're telling me you need to make an investment in your health, and I'm going to make an investment in your health. I'm going to invest time, energy, and money, and all those things to help you get better. Is one of the things you can do. Okay, so I kind of had them in dollar brackets. So those are kind of things that were like $5 to $15. So that's the kind of thing you need to do to make hundreds of dollars. You need to spend $5 to $15. You need to spend 1 to 2 hours a day. That's kind of where we start in our business. The next step to think about is you make hundreds of dollars a month with Beachbody, and you want to get to $1,000 a month, let's say. You need to think about these kinds of things. Really heavy investment in personal development audiobooks. Investment in headshots and giving yourself a professional appearance. And then think about small things that you can outsource. So Ashley wanted me to kind of go into outsourcing a little bit more. There's kind of 2 things that she wanted me to say. And the first is that basically you want to try to outsource whatever you're not very good at. So whatever you are just like, oh, this pulls me back, that's what you want to try to outsource. Now, there's a critical component to this, in that you have to get good at some things before you outsource them, because you have to be able to explain them to the person you're outsourcing to, unless they're like a specialist. So I don't mean you're going to hire somebody full time. I mean, you're going to pay somebody like Ashley about 6 months in, I don't know, 4 to 6 months in, when she was starting to make about $1,000. A lot of that was on commission a month. She decided, I'm going to spend $100 a week on somebody to help me out and do different things. And she would have them do simple tasks that she didn't have to do as much work. And that's evolved and developed and changed. But the point is, she got somebody to help her out with some easy tasks from home, and that freed up some time for her to really focus on inviting and connecting with people, and then being able to get to Success Club earlier, which allowed her to focus on working on projects that were more like developing the team. So that's really important, and that's something that you can spend hundreds of dollars on a month to try to make 1,000. Again, the same principles. This is why it's so important. It's the same principle. It's all about learning. That's what entrepreneurs. It's a game. It's a game. You're learning how to spend your time, effort, and money to get here. So there's a constant. This is the plan. This is what we're going to do. You do it, and then you evaluate. But what I want to really convey, because I think some of that's obvious, is that you have to play the game. You have to start playing the game. You have to start investing that time, effort, energy, money, whatever it is, and get going, or you won't know, and you won't get any further. So then kind of the next step would be to spend $1,000, say, on an online course. And this is when you're trying to make $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000, and you're like, I need to know how to set up a YouTube, or I need to know how to set up my like page for Facebook, or I need to know how to set up a funnel and do a freemium and get that out to people, how to use your online market better. Those are kind of the steps. And so the reason I say that is, I think sometimes we don't think about I see people and they get kind of like they're in a rut, and it's because they're doing the same things every month. And That's not how you grow your business. That's how you do the same things every month. So you should be doing things a little bit different in January than you did in November for sure. There should be a little bit different process. You should have honed some things. So if it hasn't changed, you probably didn't take a step or a risk, and you need to be taking those consistently to change things. So we're doing, and Ashley does it she does it instinctively. She has to change. She has to change. We're on a third different tracking system since I've been home in August. So I'm hoping this one will stick at least for a year. I don't know. But I like this one. So, so anyway, but, we changed to Teamsy, and it's more expensive. I think it's better. It makes more sense to me. But that's just one small example. We're to the point now where we want to make, 6 figures and more. And so we realize we're going to have to spend, I don't know, $30,000 to $50,000 this year on outsourcing, on trips, on education, on these things, and that's what you have to do. And I think that's how we've gone a little bit faster. Is we've had years of experience, and we kind of knew. Ashley kind of knew, like, this is what we have to do. This is what we have to do. So in the beginning, when we were making, maybe Ashley was making between $150 and $450, $500 a week. A lot of that just on commission kind of stuff, not really a ton on team volume. She early on recognized, like, I need help. I need to do all this stuff. So we didn't really spend a bunch of Beachbody money. It wasn't a significant part of our income until, I would say, like post Summit last year, or maybe a little bit before Summit, maybe May. And so a lot of that just went back in the business. So just want to give you something to think about. One of the things that Eric Worre says that I really like is he says, people get into network marketing and they think it's like this lottery ticket, and they think it's going to be like this short, quick fix thing. He says they think that the rules of business don't apply to network marketing. And it's just not true. It's possible to get some lucky things that happen, but ultimately you're going to kind of come back to the level you are. Just like here, it's possible you could sign up this really amazing coach on both legs, and then they would just build everything. But I don't really know anybody who's done that. So they just take a vacation. So, because you have to help those people move forward in their business. They're not very many people that can figure it out themselves. And so that has to do with your skill level and you getting better and you figuring it out and helping them move along. So I can open up for questions. I hope that some of that was helpful. I want you to let me give you a few more examples that are smaller, because that might be more applicable. So I had samples at first, and I gave them out to some people, and I realized, like, those people weren't really interested. I just kind of like did it because I felt like, oh, I can do this. And then I thought, like, I should have asked like 2 or 3 more questions. So, but we gave out samples. We have somebody who just came to us and is in a challenge group. They've been a customer for like a year on Shakeology. And they have elected not to be. I think we've approached them about being a discount coach, and they didn't want to do it. But they brought us somebody else that they want to get on Shakeology. So we might get 2 customers out of 1 packet that we sent a year ago. Which actually brings me to another thing I didn't jot down and I meant to say is one of the kind of the rules that my dad would always kind of say to me was the law of the harvest, that you reap what you sow, you reap later than you sow, and you reap more than you sow. And I really like that because it's so true in so many ways, especially with your business, but really almost anything in life. And then the other thing that I think is important, if you look up Jim Rohn, and I think it's ROHN, The Seed and the Sower, it's about 10 or 15 minutes. It's super good. And it basically talks, it's basically the parable from the Bible about the sower sowing a seed, essentially. And he talks about that in marketing or sales. And I think a lot of times we expect the seeds to grow, and when they don't grow, we're like, oh, why? And he's like, no, you just keep throwing seeds. And you're like, oh, well, I'm surprised by that. Like he said, like I would for sure thought that person would have, done really well. And then he's just like, oh, it's like, I wouldn't recommend, really, really studying why. And he's like, that's not a class I'd take. I'd sign up for it. That's what he said. And I thought that was interesting too. The more you can kind of just realize that this is not going to work out for some people and just move on. That's a mistake I see a lot with newer coaches is they think that, okay, so they got two people on either side and they're like, I'm going to get to diamond. Both these people are going to go emerald. And then one of them decides they don't want a part of it. And then they're just like devastated. And so one of the things I think you have to realize is that you just have to keep recruiting people. You just have to keep having more and more conversations and create a culture of like, hey, I want to go on trips with you. I want to do this. And, I want to enjoy this. And it has to be more than just money. If you're signing up just for money, then that person's probably going to get burnt out, because the reality is that it's a lot of work at first for not much money. And it's kind of the idea, that compound effect of, you start with a penny and then you get 2 cents, then you get 4 cents, you get 8 cents, you get 16 cents. You're like, you're not even to $1 yet. And you've done, 5 cycles. And it's kind of like that. So, when you talk to people, they have to kind of understand it's a long-term game. It's not a short-term fix. You have to be consistent. And you have to invite people. You have to have a lot of conversations. But invest some time and money into your business. I think, because here's the other thing is most traditional small business owners, they invest thousands of dollars up front, or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars up front. With this, you had to buy a challenge pack, $140, $160. And then most of that was food. So the investment's really small up front. And that I think is awesome, because it allows people to join and it not be super expensive. But some people come in with the business mindset that, basically that they didn't have to invest that much, and so they're not going to have to invest that much. And that's just I don't think that's true if you want to go far in the business. So I don't know. I hope some of that was helpful to some of you all. Those are kind of things that kick around in my mind, and I think that people need to really invest in their business, not just the money, but the lessons you learn by putting that money in, and those lessons are what's so invaluable. So,
thank you. It was really helpful.
Okay.
It kind of validated what I read today, and kind of came into my thoughts that just because I have sown and I don't see much about it, that doesn't mean I have to give up. So thank you.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording.